Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jacqueline Jax and I'm here to talk to you about watercolor. So many of you guys have been asking me questions about which watercolors you should start out with, and I know it is so confusing, so I thought I would make a video shopping on Amazon of what kind of watercolors they have available and what I think about the different ranges. One thing I do need to remind you of is there are student grade and professional grade watercolors. So I tend to recommend professional grade because they are so much better. White Nights has a professional line of watercolor that is excellent. It's perfect for beginners and I love the color ranges. They make it really easy by offering these great sets. Now, when you're looking for sets, you don't need to buy a huge set and spend a whole lot of money. They do have these smaller sets available or even tube sets that are really affordable, and you can make your own palettes. Tubes, of course, last a whole lot longer than pans, but pans can be really affordable at just $36 for a set of 12, and that will get you everywhere you need to go at the beginning just while you get used to watercolor. As you can see here, this White Night set at 12 full pans, and they are big full pans, has bright vivid colors. They are light fast and they just flow wonderfully. So much better quality than any student grade watercolor, including the Cotman series from Winsor Newton. I highly recommend this brand, and I've used them myself and I continue to do it. In fact, I actually have a course out just focused on the granulating versions of White Nights because I like them so much. There's also ones from Poland called Roman SZMAL, but you can't get them on Amazon. You have to go through affiliate links over to somewhere like Jackson's and order them from there. So it depends on what you have available to you. I personally think these two line up really, really well, and you can't go wrong with either. I am really, with that being said, addicted to Roman SZMAL since I got into them, but that's a whole nother story. We're looking on Amazon right now for sets that are affordable and will get you started so that you can experience watercolor in the best possible way without having it working against you. Most student sets do work against you and make it so hard, and a lot of people quit for that reason. Next, let's talk about Holbein, because a lot of people use them, especially students, probably because you can get a set of 12 for $25. They are a good set of watercolor, but they do lack a lot of things, and one of those things are the little effects that you get from the better watercolors. Still, Holbein's a great set, they're affordable, and they're really comparable in terms of light fastness and having a nice flow. They just lack a lot of effects that you get in other colors. Mission Gold was one of the sets that I started with when I first got into watercolor, and I absolutely love them. I still play with them often because of their color range and the vivid, just high potency of their colors. There's a lot of single pigment colors, and especially a set that is just single pigment. They also have sets that come with a lot of colors and a palette, which I especially like. This is a 24 color set that is high pigment range, and the best thing is they are cadmium free. So these ones are not toxic and really, really high in tinting strength, meaning that if you do florals, they are amazing and you have a ton of colors available to you in these sets. You might want to either try a pan set. I highly recommend you play with the tube sets because they are so much fun, and I especially recommend the single pigment set that I'm going to show you in just a second. But no matter what you can get or what is in your price range, take a look at Mission Gold and don't discount them because they are a lot of fun and very easy to control for beginners, meaning that some of these paints will run away from you with water, and these ones kind of stay put but blend nicely and dry nicely as well. I have found that some of the colors in some of the other sets, especially Winsor Newton, will dry with a chalky kind of look, and I don't really love that. I like that these, especially the pure pigment set that you see here, dry with amazing vivid qualities, and I have not seen any fading in anything. The only color I think through all the ranges that really does fade consistently is one called Opera Rose, and that one, everybody knows it fades, but it's still kind of fun to use in addition to different pinks and things like that in your sketchbook. In any case, Mission Gold has a lot of Magella watercolor palettes. I have so many of them. This one with 33 wells allows you to hold a lot of paint no matter what set you're going with. If you're going to go with tubes, tubes will last you forever. Seriously. So what you're talking about here, if it's a set of pans versus tubes, tubes will last you a terribly long time, where pans will still last you a long time, but probably a third of less of tubes. Next, I'm looking at Rosa Gallery. This is different than Rosa Studio. Rosa Studio, I do not like at all, but Rosa Gallery, not bad. It's a pretty good watercolor set that includes a lot of colors for a very low price. I don't mind recommending this set, even though I do like other sets better, and I haven't tended to pick up my Rosa Gallery that often, but again, how can you beat this price? It comes in a tin and you get a lot of highly pigmented colors as long as you choose the professional grade set. I do not, once again, recommend getting Studio set, even though the price is low. But this at $60 really does get you into watercolor easily and quickly. And I believe that these are made in the Ukraine. The next brand of watercolor is a tried and true. This one is a staple and sold at most art and craft stores. It's Winsor & Newton, but there is a Cotman series that I don't really like because it has a low tinting strength and a lot of them are fugitive colors, meaning that they fade. I don't think that they give you the best experience, but I do like the professional grade, and I often use this set as my mixing set because there are a lot of single pigment colors that are very true. I think you can't go wrong with Winsor & Newton, so depending on your price point and where you're getting them from, if you can get a great price, then lovely. They're great paints. I do find that there aren't a ton of effects in these paints, so you're getting pretty basic stuff, but it's really consistent and it's a quality set. So you really can't go wrong with Winsor & Newton, and that's why this is more like a staple that people use very, very often in watercolor. I think that there are so many sets available out there, it's really tough to choose. So that's why I'm kind of going through my experience with all of these and letting you know what I think. Remember, there are staples in watercolor, and then there are ones that have special effects like granulation. Now, Schmincke is the cream of the crop. It's the top of the line watercolor. It is always beautiful, smooth. You will have the best experience possible in all the color ranges. They are light, fast, highly pigmented, and really beautiful effects, meaning that there are a mix of highly granulating colors and non-granulating transparent colors. They are easily liftable, except for the highly staining ones, which stay put in the quinacridone range where they should be. It might be confusing to you, but eventually you're going to run across Schmincke and really, really want these colors and love the paint. I have this wood box set, which is pricey for a beginner, but eventually I think you'll go there if you stick with watercolor. Next, we have another lovely brand named Ennelier. Depending on where you live, you might have access to these. There are some colors in this range that I cannot live without. I think that they are beautiful and smooth and lovely to paint with. It's a great experience, and they have a lot of sets out there. Just make sure you look for the professional grade, and depending on the price point, it might or might not be in your range, but you can't go wrong with these paints. I've had them forever. They last a long time. High tinting strength, so smooth to paint with, and beautiful results. These are paints that will not work against you. There is a really nice little set that they have that's a travel set that will kind of fit any price point. It is pretty good, actually. The tinting strength is not bad. It's not the best, and it doesn't have the most colors in the range, but it is kind of fun to take on trips with you. I still recommend some of the other sets more, but at this price range, it's a really great way to get into watercolor and try. Just remember the Aquarel set is more of the student grade, but in this particular brand, student grade and professional grade are really similar, and they paint very well. Core is in a category all its own. I love my core watercolors, but they will run away with a beginner. They are highly tinted. You don't need a lot of these watercolors, like a dot goes a long way. So you will not run out of watercolor unless you're heavy-handed. But the one thing you have to watch out for is that they are going to give you a challenge if you are not used to handling water, because they like to push each other out of the way. They are so fun to mix and so fun to watch explode on paper. I have videos dedicated to this. You can actually get a introductory set of 6 for $26. I highly recommend that every beginner at least try them once, because I think you'll fall in love with the fact that the colors are so vivid and they are so much fun to play with. On the same side of the fence, they don't travel great because they have a lot of fluidness to them. So they're not going to dry really quickly in the pans. You do need to kind of keep them in a steady pace until they do dry out, and they take sometimes up to a month to do that. But with that being said, you need to try them because you'll have so much fun with them. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Daniel Smith, because everybody ends up with this set because it's the introductory fine essentials in professional grade, and it's really well priced. Hansa Yellow, New Gamboge, Quinacridone Rose, Pyrrole Scarlet, Phthalo Blue, and French Ultramarine are all of my favorite colors, and they happen to be in one set. So really, you cannot go wrong, and if you're looking for a place to start, this is certainly going to get you off the ground. I find that this set particularly is good for florals, and you cannot go wrong if you just get this one and the additional Primatech beginner set at $36. You have both of these and then the Primatech at $42, and this will handle all your landscapes and get you a lot of moody mixes. They all mix well together, so you can't go wrong with 6 of these and 6 of those, and then you can add additional colors as you go through ranges. This is, I think, why so many people end up with Daniel Smith and stay there, because these 2 sets exist all the way from the start. They're well priced and they last a long time. Now, these little tubes are very small tubes. They are tiny, but a little does go a long way. And if you have a mixing palette, you can make your own custom palette with these watercolor. So the amount that's in the tubes based on the price, it's not a lot. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not lying. It is not a lot in these tubes. So that is not a huge value, but at the same time, you're talking about top of the line watercolors here. They have a full range of things to choose from, and eventually you will buy some of these at one time or another and really enjoy them. Some people entirely stay with Daniel Smith. There are some colors that I love, even though there are some that are fugitive and will fade over time. As far as dependability, I still like Schmincke, but that is the top of the price range, and I think in some cases Daniel Smith might be easier for a beginner to get into. But do you need them? Not at all. The other watercolor sets that I have already told you about are way easier to get into in the beginner range and will give you no trouble at all. You'll enjoy them, have a really good time, and enjoy your watercolor moments as it magically reveals so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe.